Radve, Episode 10, Introducing Harold John Shepard. Hello, social media mites and mavens. James Homan here, and now I'm proud to introduce to you our other protagonist, Harold John Shepard. Meeting at a matinee of the New York City Ballet could not have been more perfect. Harold maintained at least two separate subscriptions of 2 seats each in the first and second tiers, plus his mother had one subscription on Sunday evenings for 4 seats in the fourth ring. Both were exceptionally generous with their subscription seats. Either cousins or dear friends would be offered the opportunity to enjoy the glories of this preeminent company. From my perspective as an usher, Harold was always accompanied by a different friend or friends, male and female. Getting an accurate, quote, read, unquote, on my gaydar was difficult until one evening his accompanying friend, Kenny, approached and asked if I would be interested in meeting his friend at the next intermission. At the second intermission, a man with a dark, full beard, in leather flight jacket, whom I had noticed at several previous performances, approached me and explained that he was Kenny's friend. He stated that Suzanne Farrell was a goddess in his life, and he loved that I had auditioned for Mr. Balanchine years earlier. Mr. B told me I had exquisite line and exceptional feet, but alas, I was too old at 27 and too short for his company. Harold Shepard was very interesting and surprisingly interested in me. We continued our intermission chats for a few weeks until he finally asked me what I was doing after one night's performance. We met at the Revlon fountain after I had changed from my usher drag, and he walked me uptown to West 90th Street. He thought I was funny. Well, that evening in 1984 began my next big adventure, the most loving, intelligent, mutually beneficial adventure I had never known. I crossed the footlights and I fell into bed. What had I found? A question that kept answering itself in the sincerest, most communicative, physically most gratifying, wonderfully challenging, loving, and mutually beneficial ways imaginable. While AIDS was raging through our community, and as we attended memorial services with monthly regularity, we two gay men found love for almost 15 years. Harold John Shepard was born on February 5th, 1951, in Newark, New Jersey, the youngest and last child of the late Dr. Morse and Mrs. June Shepard. Harold became the first male child to be born into his mother's family in almost 80 years, and as such had been lovingly catered to since birth. He'd been an adorable little boy. He and his older sister, Alan, grew up in Mountainside, New Jersey. His first words were expressed in a complete sentence, surprising everyone before his second birthday. "Nanny, where are my socks?" His childhood in New Jersey seemed idyllic compared to mine. His family history may seem to be part of a Russian, or better still, a Jane Austen novel with female-dominated plot lines. Harold was born into a family of mostly women, strong, intelligent, fun-loving females. His three-year-old sister, Alan, his mother, Paula June, called June, his godmother, Aunt, and June's youngest sister, Ruth, called Billy, Billy's 4 daughters, Anne, Joan, and the twins, Gail and Louise, their grandmother, Esther, and her 3 sisters, Ruth, who had 2 daughters, Gertrude, who never had children, and Edna, who only had sons after Harold was born. Whew. When June gave birth to Harold John, it was to the considerable delight of Dr. Shepard and all other family members. As precocious as he was, as precious as he was precocious, Harold John charmed most of the people he met. The Shepard family's housekeepers, as well as waitresses in restaurants and sales clerks, fawned over him. His sister worshipped him. Born with unfortunately flat feet, Harold was unable to participate in many of the usual childhood sports, although he enjoyed equestrian lessons for many years. His feet were almost convexed, honestly, and as a dancer, I'd seen a lot of feet. Podiatrists had prescribed orthotics for him since childhood. Every year, his poor adult feet required 2 new pairs of insoles, size 11 AA, at almost $500 per pair. As we lay together in bed at night, I would amaze him by flexing and pointing my feet in the air. Maybe the one thing he couldn't do. I always wondered to what extent his foot problems contributed to his love of ballet. Dr. and Mrs. Shepard immediately recognized their son's exceptional people skills and encouraged them. His interest in theater, opera, and operetta began in elementary school. He developed an impressive singing voice and stole the show in his 9th year as Colonel Pickering in the Governor Livingston Junior High School production of My Fair Lady. For reasons that were never explained to me, Dr. Morse Shepard moved out on his family twice while Alan and Harold were young, once for 18 months and another time for 10 years. At an early age, surrounded by generations of independently minded females, Harold John assumed adult male responsibilities. Dr. Shepard never truly abandoned them, but the emotional effects on his wife and children were considerable. Harold, what was affectionately referred to as a, quote, a culture vulture, unquote, and he defined the term elegantly. Life without both a Metropolitan Opera and a New York City Ballet subscription was unthinkable to him. In addition to his 2 Met Opera subscriptions and 4 subscriptions to the New York City Ballet, Harold maintained subscriptions to the New York City Opera, the New York Philharmonic, Carnegie Hall, and the Greatest Singers series at Alice Tully Hall. He maintained his friendships as dutifully as he maintained his cultural calendar. He had friends from elementary and junior high school, friends from Columbia and Temple universities, as well as friends from several theater tours. He also had a myriad of cousins, all of whom he would periodically treat with his subscription seats. One of Harold's friends from Temple's MFA program was Gordon Stanley, who had been cast as Broadway's original Jacob in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Jacob was the 104-year-old father of 12 strapping sons. When Gordon was hired for another job, he called Harold to come in for a replacement audition. Harold was more than delighted and subsequently took over the role on Broadway before going on a national tour with the show. In addition to the Joseph tour, Harold toured Alaska in a production of Something's Afoot and The Sound of Music throughout Florida. He also trod the boards for several seasons at the Mount Holyoke Summer Theater in South Hadley, Massachusetts, very close to where I now live. Shortly after we met, Harold decided to secure his financial future and delay his theatrical career until after his corporate retirement. Having been cast as a 104-year-old character in Joseph, Harold realized he could make a living performing in his later years. Therefore, he pursued his master's in business administration from Fordham University. School was never difficult for Harold. He excelled. That his exceptional brain should also cause his death was another of many ironies. After obtaining his MBA, he accepted the full-time offer that Alley King, Rosen and Fleming, an environmental impact survey office in Midtown, had made him. He was becoming a full-time player in corporate America, like me. And that concludes this podcast. Please check in next week for episode 11, Our Two Arcs Combine. When two arcs combine, a circle's created, and our circle felt empowering. What a new experience. Our creation felt so real. A gay relationship unlike anything either. A gay relationship unlike anything either of us had ever known to be possible. When a little boy is raised to live lies as a method of operation, the reality of his truths can be more than a little daunting. In fact, it's frightening. Challenges did indeed present themselves, as you will hear, and we faced them. Amidst the pandemic's gloomy overlay, we succeeded primarily due to the incredibly supportive friends and family which were so encouraging and loving. We celebrated with everyone. It felt absurd in a theatrical kind of way, not unlike Vladimir or Didi and Estragon, Gogo, and Beckett's Waiting for Godot. We waited for our future. Thank you for your time and interest. Until next week, then, be good, be kind, do good, be happy, and love one another, remembering to coexist with tolerance while embracing similarities and respecting differences. Thank you.